So today we're honored to feature Shakira Oluwatosin-Raji. She is a Nigerian-born cybersecurity expert, an academic, a social entrepreneur, and she's making waves in cybersecurity. All right, so you take the lead, Shakira. Go ahead, tell us about yourself.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the kind gesture. My name is Shakirat Oluwatosin. Was born some years in a city called Ibadan, or state in Nigeria, and that's the western part of Africa. I had my background in computer science, um, and I proceeded to do masters immediately after my BSc in bioinformatics. Some people call it computational biology. Some people call it basically just informatics, right? But for the honor that I got, it was named as bioinformatics. And after which I went back to my country to start my journey in academia. Lecture for like 2.5 years before I proceeded to do a PhD in human computer interaction with specialization in user experience and usability, far away in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Spent a whole 5 years of hard work and well, but I ended up not getting the certificate because I was eventually I had to withdraw. I had a very nasty experience. And so my mental health couldn't take it anymore. I was just at my lowest, and it was the best for me to just exit. However, I had some publications during the journey, so which is what I sometimes when I'm down, when I look at it, I just okay, I've got some publications, so fair enough. And then went back to Nigeria, continued, um, in my academia field, and then I stumbled at cybersecurity. Later, during the course of my early career in cybersecurity, was when I actually then realized that there's actually a link between cybersecurity and what I did, my PhD in human computer interaction. It was for me, I didn't know. So I guess fate or a beautiful coincidence to say, I mean, that means whatever that you think you have lost by doing your PhD without having the certificate, you could actually make use of it in cybersecurity. And then, because my background was not in cybersecurity, I decided to go for a master's in cybersecurity. So I went to Manchester. I did a course in cybersecurity, threat intelligence, and forensic. And I really didn't, it wasn't that part of cybersecurity that I was really, really so passionate about. And not that I'm not interested in technical part, but it was just not what I really wanted. And so when I saw information assurance and cybersecurity in the US, I read about the whole overview of the course and I said, I think this is exactly what I'm looking for. And I jumped at it. And just last December, I graduated uh, with in it, right? So interestingly, my graduation is next week Sunday. So I'm also excited.
Congrats.
Thank you. I'm also excited, looking forward to that graduation. So that's who I am, basically, in terms of my qualification. However, if I move away from qualification, during the course of me going back from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, back to Nigeria, I a personal incident happened to me that shook the core of myself. And when I look back, I really can't believe that I actually went through that journey. Now it's not even about me not getting PhD. No. So it was actually a double tragedy, really, that year, to say I was losing out in not getting the PhD of 5 years of hard work, but I was actually losing also how in the marital institution I was going to get a divorce, and because I was in an abusive marriage. And so that year, precisely 2016, it's, if I look back, and I'm wondering as I'm having this conversation with you, I'm like, how did you actually survive 2016? To be honest, but I did survive thanks to being having supportive family and also ability to want to rise again. And I did rise, but something was born out of the experience, and that was how I started my own NGO, the Shade of Women Foundation, which is basically to support women in domestic violence and vulnerable children. I do say sometimes when we go through things in life, we honestly might not be able to place what it is. But when we move past that experience and perhaps learn the lessons, or not even learning the lesson, but come out a bit stronger in years to come, you might realize that that journey or that struggle you went through was actually for a bigger purpose that you were not even familiar with. And in the course of having that, running that NGO, now it's going to be the 8th year this year. I have seen cases, I have seen, and I've been shattered with what women actually go through. But I'm happy to say that aside the career part, I'm able to also help other women going through abuse and also giving back to my community. So that's the two side of Shakira. Shakira, the cybersecurity, if you will put, I don't see myself an expert. I believe that I'm still evolving. But the social of it, of Shakira wanting to give an helping hand in my own little way, is also what is so passionate to me, even more. Interestingly, I'm more passionate about that side than even the career part, because for me, helping people, trying to wipe people's tears is something that is so dear to my heart, and that gives me joy when I do help people. So I hope I'm not taking a lot of our time introducing myself. So that's who Shakira is.
That thank you so much for sharing that. And we came here initially thinking this would just be about tech, but this is so much more and so much more meaningful. The work that you're doing is life-changing for women. Thank you for sharing that. You talked about a moment in your life where you felt like giving up, things weren't going the right way, and out of that, something beautiful was birthed that is helping so many other women for the past 8 years. That's incredible. And it just shows your spirit. You're a fighter, and you've
A lot of people.
you've turned lemons into lemonade, and you're serving others some nice lemonade now. It's amazing. I'm sure that listeners will be able to be encouraged and inspired by the work that you're doing. So, thank you. So, you've answered a couple of questions that I had. You told us who you became through the process of your tech journey, personally and professionally. And I see that your mission is not only tech, but also to empower women. You managed to do that all while balancing a career and your education.
To be honest, it wasn't easy. I mean, 2016, I'm looking back and I knew I entered full blown depression, and I was severely depressed. And the people around me, because back in Africa, perhaps it's changing now, but some people are still locked up not to even know that that word depression actually exists, because they see it as you are just being lazy, or you just don't have a direction. You don't even know what you want in life. And so a part of my family didn't get the message. They just felt, oh, because she couldn't get the PhD now, because she's also out of marriage. Um, I mean, she's just overwhelmed. Of course, yes, I was overwhelmed. But in being overwhelmed, I was actually sinking, and I didn't know that I'd even entered depression. Not that I didn't know that I entered depression, but I'm saying I didn't even know when I entered depression. But I knew that it was depression. But some of my family members just didn't get it. It was like, you just have to move on. There's this word which I find is so unfair when you tell someone just move on. What do you mean by just move on? If it was easy to just move on, then everyone that is going through one or two or three challenges, we just move on. We say it casually, but it takes a lot of determination, a lot of self talk, a lot of reassurance to even take back the first step back again. In where in that part of the country that I come from and my tribe, they say it is easy to spoil something, but it's very difficult to build. So when somebody is down and you want the person to build again, it is difficult. And then, is it the stigma that comes with it? Is it the sense of failure that a young girl, so and so, oh, she's a career woman, that's why she cannot even, she can't even stay put in a marriage, and all the side talks that you hear. Believe me, those ones are not even, maybe they are just added. But the truth of the matter is that you are down and you don't even know how to pick yourself up. And in the process of you don't even know how to pick yourself up, and then you start hearing side comments. So it's like, as you're trying to stand, there are things even making you to want to go back. So it takes a lot of energy and a lot of, self determination
Yeah.
to say, you know what, when these thoughts come, or when even these people say this in front of you, you just want to brush it aside. So, summary, it was a fight to get up again. And I can say for sure that it wasn't easy, but I did get up.
Yes, you did.
So, what that journey taught me is that where there is will, there will always be a way. And that it doesn't matter how many times you fall, what matters is how you rise. So, life can knock you multiple times, and it will still keep knocking. It doesn't mean that because we are seeing Shakira now, doesn't mean I don't have issues. But I guess that experience prepared me that when challenges then come again, you just smile and say, you know what? I don't know the time, but I know I will rise again. So, yes, it wasn't easy, but with determination and with a lot of self talk, a lot of knowing that you are not the first person to be in this situation. And then one thing I did for myself during that period also is to read about people that have passed through this journey and how did they survive it. Of course, there cannot be two stories, there cannot be two experiences the same way, but there might be similarities and where you could pick one or two things to your own situation to help you. So yes, I can't say that it was tough, but I guess I was tougher, or that the experience strengthened me and made me tougher.
Wow. Wow. What I'm hearing you say is that in the darkest time, in one of the darkest times of your life, you had to lean into self determination and share willpower to bring yourself out. Was there anything else that you can pinpoint that helped you overcome that?
Yes. So I actually eventually had to see a shrink. I mean, this part of the world you call it shrink, but there maybe psychiatrists we call it over there. I was actually placed on antidepressant, but of course that was just a part, because you and I know that depression doesn't just get there one day, and so the fact that you are using drugs doesn't mean you are going to snap out of it, right? But I'm a religious person as well, so I eventually, with the help of taking my medication, also lean towards the words of God in the Quran and listen to series of lectures of how life itself is a test, and that Father, you're going through your test doesn't mean God has forsaken you. It may mean that it's for a deeper calling, and that you are not at the moment of your trial, you're not getting it. So, as I was taking the medication, and that I was not even seeing what the medication was doing for me, I was also leaning towards the Quran. And believe me, I tell people that I don't pray for my worst enemy to go through depression, because it blinds you of the kindness, of even the awesomeness that you've once had before. So you don't even see how, you know, awesome that you probably have been. You just want to, as they say, which is critical, when you start taking suicidal, that is a full blown clinical depression. And that's so I was in that stage anyway. So it doesn't allow you to even see whatever that you have achieved in the past. But that's where the word of God, and then me leaning towards faith, to say that rather than looking at your present situation, which is not what you want, why not be grateful for the gift of life itself? Why not be grateful for whatever good that you have achieved in the past, no matter how small you think it is? And so, in the journey of being depressed, I learned also the power of gratitude. And so now, even when things are not going on well, I just smile and say, I'm thank you for the gift of life. I just smile and say, I'm just thankful for who you are in my life, God. And so, and the moment I started showing gratitude, I became a lot better. Not that the situation has gone, but I became more aware, and I became more enthusiastic about the future than when I just want to end it. I don't even want to know, because of gratitude. And so when I look around me, I say, Shakira, you're not bad enough. It's just the face of your life. I'm not saying you're not the first person. So thank God. God is giving you another chance. God wants you to, and that's how I survived. Right. So power of gratitude, and of course, seeking uh, medical intervention coupled with power of gratitude or faith really, really brought me out of of my situation. And when it looked as if I was a lot better, I began showing up again. Like I began attending events, even when the event really does not make sense. And one thing again that I also discovered, I then discovered that I love poetry. So I was always going for any spoken word events. I was always going for, okay, there's a drama, whatever here. I just, I just opened myself up to new experiences that I've never experienced before. And it was amazing to see how evolving that became, how intentional I became. And I must say, looking back, I have truly, truly, truly grown.
Wow. Wow. So you said something powerful. You said gratitude is what pulled you out. During the process of leaning into gratitude, you were basically transformed. You began leaning into things you found enjoyable, like poetry, and you just blossomed. That's powerful. We all go through our trials, and not everyone is bold enough to share them. I clap for you for sharing this dark time that you went through, but because of it or through it, you've transformed in such a beautiful way. You just continue to be a light for others. And, I just want to clap you up, air clap. Yes, yes, yes. It's amazing. I want to shift gears a little bit. And now that we have an idea of Shakira, where she comes from, how she navigated to the present, I want to get an idea of, when did you get into tech? When did you choose tech?
Okay, a very beautiful question. Even though my background has always been in tech, meaning I did computer science, I didn't really, really saw myself in tech. And I'll explain that. When I finished, towards the final year of my computer science journey, I knew for myself to say programming was not going to be for me. I knew that I wasn't going to want to go into the real tech, even though it was the end thing. A lot of people say that's where the money is. But excuse me, I didn't want to. And the reason why I didn't want to, you see how life is really funny. Was, I just want to, get my masters and just marry and settle. So at the back of my head, I just want to settle because back in Africa, oh, you must as a woman so that they don't tend to see you. I mean, it's not like that in the US. They don't tend to see, oh, she's career driven. She's just career. She doesn't want to, settle down. She doesn't want to have a family of her own. So unconsciously for me too, I was actually re-echoing what the society are always saying. It's always saying that you just have to, And so that took me to the part of doing computational biology by informatics to say, I don't want to go into the real tech. I don't want to sit down in front of the computer and be debugging errors that will take. I mean, if I have my children, that means I won't have time. I'll just be decoding, debugging and everything. When I finished and I went back home, and I was looking for all kinds of jobs, not really all kinds of. I didn't want to work in the banking sector. I was so picky. I was so picky to say, no, I don't want this sector. I don't want this. Eventually, I landed myself in academia. And so, landing myself in academia meant that if I thought you are going to progress, you must have a PhD, right? So, just suppose I didn't find myself in tech for my BSc, for my master's, because of course I went back to academia, and then in academia, you're just teaching. right? You're just teaching. You are not in the industry or the real life situation. You are just teaching the theory. So the change, it's funny because yes, I'm still in academia, right? But the change of 360 to say, you know what, Shakira, I want to go into the industry came when I came back from Kuala Lumpur 2016 to say, you know what, I don't want to see myself in academia anymore. I just want to go to the industry. And that was I pivoted to cybersecurity. And, from cybersecurity, I found myself in industry for a while and then back again now in academia. But I'll tell you one thing, the journey into tech itself is a thing of the mind. Tech is so broad depending on which area of tech you want to focus on. And depending on what passion. I mean, I hear a lot of people say, oh, the money in cybersecurity is why some of them are going into it. I mean, I'm not going to dispute that okay, maybe truly, maybe money is there. I mean, I'm not there yet to see where the money is, right? But I see that a lot of people, what is propelling them to go into cybersecurity is because, oh, it's a six-figure, it's a seven-figure kind of thing. And so I smile because during this course of my life experience, I realized that when you are not passionate about something, you can easily get yourself out of it. And so, in as much that everyone is shouting of tech or everyone is screaming of tech, which of course, like I said, tech is broad. So that means some are into projects, some are into, so it's that broad. When that passion is really not there, and it's because of the figure, you might end up not succeeding. But then again, what we define as success is subjective, really. What I define as success will be different from what you define as success. So I get that. However, there will be instances in any career, no matter how, you know, high performer you are. If what brought you to that career wasn't the passion, then you might just not progress anymore. And cybersecurity as one of the tech space must come from a place of passion because that field itself is ever evolving. Today, they are saying that something is coming up. Is the AI in cybersecurity now? Every university that are proactive are incorporating AI in cybersecurity in their curriculum, in their some of the modules. So you can't say because you have a certification of some 5 years ago and then you think you're okay. If you think you are okay, people, friends that are continuously learning and equipping themselves will leave you and keep moving. Don't forget, we're also in the era of AI that a lot of people are saying, oh, AI is going to take some jobs, AI is going to. So if what you have, you are not adding to your knowledge, you are not making effort, oh God, you are done. I mean, dead, not dead in the in literal, I mean, in that
Yes.
grave sense form, but literally because you're not going to progress.
Yeah.
And then because it wasn't passion, it is passion that will propel you to say, you know what, I actually want to learn this thing. I'm going to enroll in this class. I want to because that's the passion. That's what is fueling you, not the money. And so I would say that even though I'm not in that space of even seeing the six figure of the seven figure of that whatever tech space in this context, cybersecurity, because that's where I am, because it is a passion that I have for the field. It makes me just keep going, acquiring, learning, keep learning. and hoping one day I will land myself in that space. And that even if I eventually land myself in that space, I'll still keep evolving because it is what I'm passionate about, right? And so, just to answer you in a more specific, my journey into tech started in 2016, even though my background has always been in tech. Thank you.
You talked about someone is interested in going into cybersecurity. It's of paramount importance that they have passion because there are new technologies every day, and to stay with the trend, it's something you need to be passionate about so that you're continuously learning. That was something I wanted to highlight for our listeners who might be thinking about cybersecurity. They've heard about the six-figure salary and they're enticed, but what is really required to succeed in it? When I first started my tech journey, I've been there. So I think a lot of people start by filtering which roles have the highest salaries and they go for that. When they get in there, they're like, whoa, this is a lot more than I expected. As an educator in that space, you have probably have more insight than anyone, what is needed to thrive. I want to ask you your opinion about going the traditional education route versus certifications. For someone who's interested in pivoting into tech, I think things are going towards certifications, self study. What is your take as an academic? Is it advisable to do the degree first or the certification first, self study first, then the degree? What do you think?
Hmm. That question would always generate different responses from different people. There's no one way fit all. And each individual that is answering or that will be answering this particular question will be coming from their own biases, right? So, but I will tell you what I know, that regardless of what my biases are, no knowledge is wasted ultimately. That I want you to know before really answering my own standpoint of how I see it. At the end of the day, no knowledge is wasted. But what I've realized, so for me, I'm more of the opinion of get the skills before the certifications. To some people, it is the certification. You probably they will say you learn on the job or whatever it is. So if you've gone through my profile, you see that I I don't think I even have two or three certifications. Not that I don't want to, but I ask myself, of what importance is me having these certifications that I don't even know? I mean, I cram the exam,
Right.
and then pass it, and that's it. I'm not even in that space to even say, okay, this is what we've been doing, hands on. I'm not in that space, and you want me to be do this certification, do that certification. I don't believe in that, and I don't believe in that school of thought. However, like I said, that's my bias because I personally lie to say I know something and then I want to test my knowledge on that thing that I assume that I know. Meaning, let me get trained and then let me put myself to go and write the certification. Not, I'll start with certification and then I find myself. It is skills first, education first, before certification.
Okay. Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And my next question would be the curriculum, are they held to a standard where they're not only teaching the theory of it?
I mean, the curriculum that I used, I mean, during my master's is what I'm saying. They are practical enough. They've got hands on. They've got a lot of simulation. But one thing I have also realized, so yes, or let me say, from maybe from my own understanding or how I see it. So it might be peculiar to me. It might not be that that's how it is, or maybe that's me. Is that even with the simulations, even with the hands-on, I still feel that if you are not in that space in the real world, the knowledge is still not complete in a way. And then again, I'm saying me. So I know a lot of people will say I have hands-on, I've got okay. Have you actually worked for an organization whereby there's a cyber threat and you are on the spot to get this thing resolved? So I want because that's to me will be how you are really, really getting that experience and showing that yes, all that you've been taught in the university, you are putting it into place. It's not just the theory. So I would say that the curriculum provides the simulations, provides the lab, but my own still believe you have to be in that industry or you have to be in that organization seeing it and saying what solution are we providing, and then you are doing it on point, whether it's as a team or as whatever, and then you're getting it resolved, you're getting whatever issues that whatever organization, you're getting it resolved. That to me will make an individual more grounded, more exposed to real life situations, and more equipped.
And one of the things that I wish colleges would do more is have didactic experiences where you have your classroom experience, but you have to complete either an internship or something where you're applying it. That needs to be a requirement, just like nurses or doctors to be integrated.
Yes, that actually internship in the integrated in the curriculum. But guess what? I don't know if it's the system that is just against tech people, or that organizations are not just willing to also train these college students for whatever reason that they have, which I feel it's not even helping because at the end of the day, when these students come out or finish their degree and they are looking for this job, it is you, this same organization, that you start putting 3 or 4 years experience, you put an humongous requirements. And like I'm asking myself, somebody I just passed through the wall of maybe 4 years in in the college or university, he or she was not even opportune to find himself in an internship whereby all that is being taught. So where do you want such individual to even start having experience? And then you come up with 3 to 4 years, and then you have to have this certification. I mean, what these organizations do demand are so outrageous that I'm like, are you really, really for real? But it is what it is in the world that we find ourselves. I don't I don't see this trajectory changing anytime soon. And that's why you see a lot of people, despite the fact that they have degree, they just want to also arm themselves certification. Now again, somebody is harming himself, but you have not even been exposed to this these situations, these real life scenarios. How do you function? So I think the industry are just there to be blamed. I don't think it's the fault of the colleges, because the colleges, yes, have been inculcated that you have to go and do internship, except and except maybe it's the right of the colleges to then, and which I don't think so. And then say, okay, go to Microsoft. I mean, they don't have that institution don't have that capacity to say Microsoft should employ you or what have you. So it still falls out to the organization. Reduce these expectations that you are asking recent graduates or brand new fresh graduates, where do they want to see all this experience? So for me, the entry role into all this tech industry are not even favorable and not even fair for these young graduates at all. It's not fair for them. But that's my opinion, really.
there's a disconnect between the education and the workforce. Take shared responsibility in the development of new talent. Maybe something that you can potentially consider is influencing the academic and industry partnerships and creating a better pipeline for students.
Well, if I get to that position of authority, yes.
I hope you do. I hope you do because I know you will change things for the better. I'm hoping for that. So, before we go, one last question. What does legacy mean to you?
Hmm. A very powerful question. Okay, again, like I said, that success is subjective and is individualized. It's the same way legacy is individualized. But for me, legacy is that even when I cease not to be in that space, I am being remembered for my contribution to the betterment of the people that I've come across while in that space, and also continuously giving back to the society. So, better put, I would say legacy is that impact that you have on thousands of people without even you being aware that you actually have impacted them. And that is what I, crave for, to say that I can look back, or not even looking back, but somebody just walking up to me to say, I know you. It was because of you that I actually pursued or actually decided to do something holistic like this. So legacy again for me is also a delayed gratification. What it means by saying delayed gratification is to say that you don't even see the effect immediately. You don't even see. In other words, you're just doing your own thing. That years to come, you then start seeing those seeds that you've actually sown, that you even didn't know that you were sowing, and then they are germinating, and then they're saying, there's this, there's this woman. I just want to, I don't know, wherever she is, I just want to say thank you because she truly transformed how I'm reasoning or how I reason. And she's also, in a way, unconsciously to her, is the reason I am who I am today.
I see that your legacy is in the lives that you touch with all that you're doing from academic to the work with women. I'm so sure that for years to come, people will come back to you, like you said, and say, because of you, I didn't give up. Because of you, I decided to take a risk and bet on myself and go for this. So thank you, Shakirat. Shakirat's story is just a reminder that all our tech journeys don't look the same, but she was always persistent. This might be your sign to take a bet on yourself, stay persistent, and don't give up. Here at Break in Tech, we're just getting started. So thank you so much, Shakirat, for being our very first guest. It was an honor. And I look forward to seeing all the amazing things you do in the future. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode.